In this Baldur's Gate 3 video series, I am going to look at each and every one of the classes and discuss the spells that I would personally pick at each and every level. First up is one of my personal favorite classes, the Silver-Tongued Bard. This video is going to be largely unscripted, so you're going to have to bear with me as I ramble incoherently for a couple of minutes. Now with that out of the way, let's get nerdy. So something probably to note straight off the bat is that the Bard is a spontaneous caster, which means that you might need to do a little bit of planning ahead in order to choose the right spells, as you can only swap out one spell at a time when you level up. So if you've made the wrong choice or you're unhappy with the choice of spell that you made at a certain level, you're gonna have to wait until you level up next time, and if you make more than one of these at a time, then you're going to kind of be stuck with a spell that you don't necessarily want for multiple levels. So right out of the gate at character creation, you're going to be able to pick 2 cantrips and 4 level 1 spells. For cantrips, you're going to be able to choose from 8 different spells, being Vicious Mockery, Blade Ward, Mage Hand, True Strike, Friends, Dancing Lights, Light, and Minor Illusion. Many of the spells that I'm going to be selecting for my Bard is based on the class fantasy and how I see the Bard playing out. So the Bard to me personally is the master of manipulation. They tend to get their way by enchanting or by tricking someone into thinking a certain way. As such, many of the spells that I choose naturally come from the enchantment or illusion schools of magic. So for my cantrips, I'll be picking up Vicious Mockery, which is the quintessential Bard spell. Of course, 1d4 psychic damage and disadvantage on the next attack roll for that specific creature if it's successful. There's a great RP element to it also, because obviously flinging insults at an enemy and disabling them in a certain way is a very Bardy thing to do. The second spell that I'm going to be picking up is Minor Illusion, just for a little bit of utility and outside of combat use mostly. Again, into the class fantasy, distract, illusion, manipulate, so that just works for me very nicely. For level 1 spells, you're going to have 15 different spells to choose from at character creation, and to save time I won't be going into each and every one of those, but rather just be going quickly through the ones that I would pick personally. And those are going to be Dissident Whispers, Fairy Fire, Tasha's Hideous Laughter, and Healing Word. So again, these are mostly support-based spells, with one which does deal a little bit of damage if the situation does call for that. Character level 2 brings us another option for level 1 spell, and I'm going to choose one that I would normally never pick at the table, and that's just because it's as fun as hell in BG3, and that's going to be Speak with Animals. At character level 3, we get access to level 2 spells. Again, there's going to be 16 different spells to choose from, and again, I will be leaning into the out-of-combat utility social aspect of the Bard and pick up Detect Thoughts. At level 4, you're going to be able to choose a cantrip and a leveled spell. For the cantrip, I'll be picking up Friends, which you probably could have done at character creation. Friends is another spell that I wouldn't necessarily pick up at the table, because there are serious consequences for casting spells on friendlies or people in towns, commoners, etc. Those consequences do not exist in BG3, so cast away and have advantage on all your social interactions with NPCs. For my leveled spell, I'm going to pick up a level 2 spell, and that's going to be Hold Person. Magically forcing someone to stay in place while your barbarian or paladin is absolutely whacking the shit out of it is something that I find quite hilarious and enjoyable. So yeah, it works very well with the Bard thematically in any way in my mind. Right, on to character level 5, and now we are going to have access to level 3 spells, which is a fairly substantial bump in your magical power. And the Bard has access to 8 new level 3 spells to choose from. There are a couple of decent picks for the Bard, but one is for me like a no-brainer when I get to level 3, and that's going to be a Hypnotic Pattern, which is essentially just going to freeze all of your enemies that fail your Wisdom save in place, while the rest of your party absolutely goes to town on them. At level 6, I'm going to be expanding my spell list a little bit to also include a direct damage and a little bit of battlefield control spell, and that would be Cloud of Daggers. Now, if you're a lore bard like the character I've chosen here, then you're going to be getting magical secrets at level 6 and level 10 when normal bards get magical secrets. So for my lore bards picks, I am going to be picking up Haste, which should be a surprise to absolutely no one who has played the game for any extent of time, as well as Eldritch Blast, which provides me a consistent damage dealing option. With character level 7, of course, comes level 4 spells. Unfortunately, with the bard spell list, there's only 5 to choose from, however, making this a fairly easy choice, for me at least, and that's going to be Greater Invisibility. In combat, this provides my bard with a little bit of extra protection, being able to disappear from sight and still be able to cast other spells, as well as some other out-of-combat uses also in espionage and subterfuge, etc. At level 8, having the same spell options, I am going to go down a couple of levels and pick up Crown of Madness, again being thematically on point, with the bard drilling into the mind of his enemies and making them fight their own allies, essentially. Right, on to level 9. Now we're really getting into the mid to late game, Act 2, maybe even start of Act 3. And with level 9 comes level 5 spells. And 6 different options, but again this is going to be fairly easy for my bard, and that's going to be Hold Monster, which, like Hold Person, which only affects humanoids, Hold Monster affects any creature really. So 10 turns, paralyzed, wail on that enemy until it's essentially a bloody mess. At level 10 we can pick up another cantrip, nothing hugely exciting here, but I would say that if you don't have a party member that can cast light by now, then probably that would be one of the better choices, either that or Mage Hand. For my leveled spell, again with nothing extremely exciting on the higher levels, I'm going to go down a couple of levels and pick up Heat Metal, which again just provides another option when you're fighting humanoids, wearing metal armor or armaments, making them drop their weapons, and disadvantage on attacks against anyone while they are being heated up. And of course level 10 also brings us another 2 options for magical secrets. For me it's going to be Banishment and of course Counterspell, which is going to be extremely useful in the later levels when you're going to start facing, or have already started facing, a number of powerful spellcasters and mages. And Banishment, of course, super reliable with the Charisma save, taking an enemy out of combat completely for 2 entire turns, which can be a complete game changer if you do manage to land this on one of the boss monsters that you're fighting. Character level 11 brings us the final spell level in BG3, and there are 2 options to choose from for the bard, being Eyebite and Otto's Irresistible Dance, each of which I will be picking up at level 11 and level 12, and I'm going to go with Otto's first and Eyebite second. Now, I won't be going into too much detail on these. I mean, you can go and read the tooltips. It pretty much works as described. Eyebite does last for a crazy 100 turns, something to think about. Anyways, so if you like this video, it was just a quick run through the spells that I would pick for my bard personally, without diving into too much detail for each and every spell. Anyways, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you enjoyed. If you did, please remember to leave me a like. If you like some of the other content on the channel, please consider subscribing. I truly hope to see you again soon.